Je ne parle pas français, seulement anglais. That's what a group of international students in Quebec are saying. At least that's what I think they are saying.
Students studying in college across Montreal.
But unlike university students at McGill and Concordia,
They are still forced to pass French exam to graduate to get a PGWP.
Why are college students treated differently?
we all came here to learn, we all contribute to Quebec, we all deserve the same chance.
University students fought and won.
Now it's our turn, our college must stand with us. No more double standards, no more barriers, equal rights for all students.
A group of international students in Quebec are upset that they won't get their workers permit because they do not speak French. And they have started a group called French with Fairness to talk about it. I'm going to be honest, you signed up for a college in Quebec, a bilingual college that requires you to pass a French literacy test to get your workers permit for Quebec. This is not unfair. You chose to go to this school. You could have chosen to go anywhere else. They're saying that it's an unfair language barrier and it's robbing students of their ability to not get their certificate and their ability to work. With LaSalle College being the largest bilingual college in North America. You would think that if you're paying the insane amount of money that it costs to come to Canada, to study at a college, to then become a citizen after getting a worker's permit, that you would know whether or not you have the requirements to get the degree. They would have known ahead of time that they would have needed to complete this French language test. And they also would have known about it as they were going through this college program. This is not a surprise. This is not new. I would understand if they would want like a 6-month extension to write their test, but that's not what they're asking for. They are asking to eliminate the French language test. And I guarantee you that you're going to get some people in my comment section saying that this is racist, whatever, XYZ. This is not what this is about. If they had come to Ontario, this wouldn't be a problem. If they had come to Nova Scotia, this wouldn't be a problem. If they had gone to anywhere else in Canada or gone to a different Quebec college, this would not have been a problem. But they specifically went to a college in Quebec that requires this French language test in order to get your worker's permit. This is on them.
Okay, let me get this straight. You moved to Quebec, a province that proudly speaks French. You study in an English language program, and now you are protesting because they want you to learn French language before giving you a work permit. This isn't Manitoba. This isn't Alberta. This is Quebec. You know, the place where the street signs are in French, the menus are in French, and yes, where the culture, identity, and language are, guess what? French.
Saying I've never seen another group that avoids having to do the work and avoids having to follow the rules more than this particular group. And I come from the same community, so I understand very well how they operate and how they go about doing things. So let's get the facts straight here. These folks are attending a diploma mill college in Quebec, in Montreal, where the language that is predominantly spoken there is French. Before coming to Canada, specifically before arriving in Quebec, they had to have seen the requirements they needed to graduate, and they had to have known that if they went to LaSalle College in Montreal, that they were expected to complete a French language exit exam before graduating. All of this information was known to them prior before even stepping foot in Canada. So they've completed all of their courses, all the requirements are almost met. All they have to do in order to graduate is to finish this French language exam, and that's it. They're home free. But instead of actually studying for that exam and just doing it, they would rather complain about it, make a video about it, and try to make people think that it's unfair to them to have to do an exam in French to show that they're proficient in speaking the language that is predominantly spoken in the province that they got their education in and that they reside in. So they're trying to make the argument that students at McGill and Concordia do not have to take the French language exam in order to graduate. Therefore, they too should not have to take the French language exam to graduate from LaSalle College. Now, what they're saying isn't entirely wrong. If you go to Concordia or McGill, you don't have to take a French language exam in order to graduate. All you have to do is take a few courses or do an assessment throughout your undergrad to show that you have some intermediate proficiency in French, and that's it. However, when it comes to LaSalle College and their requirements, you have to, number one, do the French language exam in order to graduate. That is a requirement. Number two, you have to take at least 3 program-specific courses taught in French. That's all you need in order to graduate, just those 2 things. They said the quiet part out loud. All they want is their PGWP. That's it. They don't care about wanting to stay in Quebec or even wanting to learn the language because they're going to leave the province as soon as they get their PGWP. It's funny and it's pathetic at the same time because this reflects badly on the Punjabi community as a whole. All we look like we're doing is we bend the rules in order to favor ourselves. Why can't these folks just shut the hell up, do the French language exam, graduate, and be done with it? What's the need to drum up all this commotion and to make this video about how it's unfair to them for having to do a language exam in a province that speaks French predominantly? It just blows my fucking mind, the entitlement of these folks.
Students have taken to the streets, arguing that the French language rule is unfair, that they shouldn't have to meet a language requirement after they have studied in English. But here's my question. Did you really think you could live, work, and settle in a French province without learning the language? So let's look at it from Quebec's perspective. The province has spent decades protecting the French language. It's not just about communication, it's about identity, it's about culture and sovereignty. And now, with thousands of international students flooding in, many of whom plan to stay, Quebec says, fine, stay, but learn our language. Reasonable, right?
If I know that that university in India requires me to graduate and have my Hindi diploma or whatever, graduate from that class, right? I wouldn't apply there because I don't know Hindi.
Listen, there are some rules that should be changed, and sometimes things like this.
But why?
Sometimes things like this have to happen for things to get to evolve and to change. People have to stand up and say something, and then the school changes their rules, and then it's easier for other people to come and get an education.
No, but you can't spoon feed them, bro. You can't
What do you mean?
spoon feed these people. It's every year. Last year was a different reason why they were protesting. Now there's another reason. And remember the whole thing where they were failing them because they were staying back or whatever, right? And they protested that, so they changed the rules on that.
Yeah.
It feels like these guys are now bullying themselves into getting what they want, and that the best way is to just go protest.
Now, let me just say this. I don't even live in Quebec. My family and I live in Alberta. But when we decided to move to Canada, we did our homework. We researched everything, language, culture, food, climate, all of it. Given that Canada has 2 official languages, it only makes sense to settle in the province that speaks the language you are most comfortable with. There were dozens of options with English as the dominant language. We chose Alberta. You chose Quebec. So why would you think it's okay to protest Quebec for having its own language requirements? Why?
Good day, my friends. Guess how much I don't care? I don't. Maybe that language in quotations is a bit aggressive, but y'all come in there knowing what's mandatory, and now you're trying to change the rules. You knew you could have went other places, but you went here. You knew, and now you're trying to change the rules, which is so ironic, isn't it? You're going there to learn, but yet you're not learning the rules, and now you want to play the victim card. I don't think so. Don't care.
Things like this are exactly what give immigrants a bad name. The assumption that we can change a place to suit us instead of integrating into it. That's not how it works.
Canada is losing its culture really fast, and this is coming from an immigrant. A lot of people are not going to like what I'm saying, but it's the truth. As an immigrant myself, I say this with a lot of respect. Your job is to support the country, not change it. You left your home country for a certain reason. Now you're abroad into a different country. Your job is to adapt within the system. Your job is to speak the language. Your job is to understand the system, not overriding it with your own personal value or your own personal belief. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because that there's a video circulating in Quebec regarding international students protesting in universities stating that the French-speaking class must change. They must be taught in English. Do you understand how stupid that is? You chose to go to Quebec. You chose to go to a place where the majority of the people there, they speak French. So why are you there trying to change the rules? And that's just the tip of the iceberg among so many other things that is currently happening in this country. Now you have people that are complaining, stating that in order for them to get a job, they must speak Punjab or Chinese or Taiwanese or something. where this country national language is French and English.
Here is where it gets real. Some of these students came in expecting a smooth path to permanent residency. No French, no force. But Canada, and especially Quebec, doesn't owe anyone immigration on their terms. You can't move to Tokyo and expect everyone to speak English. You can't go to Spain and be shocked that they use Spanish. So why is it so hard to understand Quebec's position? Oh, and by the way, let's not forget that even in English-speaking provinces, international students have to prove their English proficiency before they can get a postgraduate work permit or permanent residency. So why is it suddenly outrageous that Quebec wants the same, but in French? If you are choosing to go to Quebec, not just Canada, then you are also choosing to be part of its unique identity, and that includes la langue française. When in Rome becomes when in Quebec. So maybe instead of fighting French, it's time to embrace it, or at the very least, respect the fact that Quebec isn't changing for you. And honestly, pourquoi devrait-il? What do you think? Should Quebec back down, or are these students just facing the reality that they signed up for? Let's talk in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and maybe take a French class. So YouTube thinks you like this video over here. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Au revoir.